On the night of April 24, 1980, the skies over the Middle East were dark and silent. But behind that silence, one of the most daring and risky military rescue missions in modern history was about to begin. The United States was preparing a secret operation to rescue 52 American hostages being held in Iran. The mission required flying thousands of kilometers into hostile territory and entering the capital city of Tehran. The plan was extremely bold, but it was also incredibly dangerous. This mission was called Operation Eagle Claw. The story of Operation Eagle Claw began months earlier, on November 4, 1979. On that day, hundreds of Iranian students stormed the United States Embassy in Tehran. They took control of the compound and captured 52 American diplomats and citizens, holding them hostage. The incident quickly became known around the world as the Iran hostage crisis. At the time, the president of the United States was Jimmy Carter. For months, diplomatic negotiations were attempted in hopes of securing the release of the hostages peacefully. However, those negotiations failed, and the hostages remained in captivity. As the crisis dragged on, pressure began to build on the American government to take decisive action. Eventually, the White House authorized a secret military rescue mission. The goal of the operation was simple in theory, but extremely complex in execution. Infiltrate Tehran, assault the embassy compound, rescue the hostages, and bring them safely out of Iran. To carry out this mission, the United States selected one of its most elite special operations units, Delta Force. The rescue plan required several carefully coordinated stages. First, American transport aircraft and helicopters would secretly enter Iranian airspace and land at a remote desert location known as Desert 1. This hidden site would serve as a temporary staging area. From there, the special forces would prepare for the next phase of the mission, moving closer to Tehran and launching the rescue assault on the embassy. Late on the night of April 24, the operation finally began. U.S. Air Force C-130 transport aircraft and 8 military helicopters departed from bases in the region and headed toward the Iranian desert. But almost immediately, the mission began to encounter unexpected problems. As the aircraft crossed the desert, they were hit by a massive dust storm known as a haboob. The thick clouds of sand severely reduced visibility and began to affect the helicopter's navigation systems. One helicopter was forced to turn back due to mechanical failure. Another became lost in the storm. By the time the aircraft finally reached the Desert 1 landing zone, only a limited number of helicopters remained fully operational. The situation quickly became critical. The mission required at least 6 functioning helicopters to proceed with the rescue operation. But after evaluating the equipment, commanders realized that only 5 helicopters were still capable of continuing the mission. At that moment, the difficult decision was made to abort the operation. But the worst part of the mission had not yet happened. As the American forces began preparing to withdraw from Desert 1, a tragic accident occurred. One of the helicopters, maneuvering in the dark desert conditions, collided with a C-130 transport aircraft that was carrying fuel and personnel. The collision triggered a massive explosion. Flames erupted across the desert landing zone, instantly destroying both aircraft. 8 American servicemen were killed in the explosion. The remaining forces were forced to abandon equipment and quickly evacuate the area. Operation Eagle Claw had ended in disaster. The failed mission shocked the United States and quickly became one of the most dramatic military failures in modern American history. The political consequences were significant. The crisis and the failed rescue attempt weakened President Jimmy Carter's leadership during a critical election year. However, the lessons learned from Operation Eagle Claw would go on to reshape the U.S. military. The failure revealed major coordination problems between different branches of the armed forces during complex special operations missions. In response, the United States began restructuring its special operations capabilities. These reforms eventually led to the creation of more integrated special operations command structures and improved training for joint missions. Although Operation Eagle Claw failed to rescue the hostages, its impact was lasting. The mission became a turning point that transformed how modern special operations are planned and executed. Because sometimes in history, even a failed mission can change the future of warfare.